It's Saturday, October 6th, which can only mean one thing. Whitefox Studios and Crunchyroll have finally uploaded the first episode of Goblin Slayer. Let's dive into what we liked and what we didn't like about the show. Let's start with the cons. Number one, the animation was a little bit robotic and janky at some point, and it really kind of threw me out of the show. It kind of reminded me of Steins Gate, where when the characters are just talking or they're doing something that isn't fighting, the animation is really stiff and rigid. But when they do finally fight in both Goblin Slayer and Steins Gate, the characters are more fluid. The animation is a lot better. I think a lot of it had to do with my second gripe of the show, and that is the CG. Get rid of it, you don't need it. And I'm sure for a lot of you, the juxtaposition of hand-drawn animation to this weird CG was just as off-putting to you as it was to me. In one scene in particular, you have Goblin Slayer, he's hunched over and he's got that regal white collar around his neck. And the way that I always imagined it is that it was very like kind of fluffy and feathery, and all of a sudden you look at the collar and it's got these hard ridges and it's just this really gross CG, and it's the same kind that they used in Berserk. I didn't enjoy watching Berserk because of this weird CG. Now, for things that I did like, the music. I thought the music was actually pretty awesome. There was a lot of very atmospheric tones that like just kind of droned in the background while you're in the cave, and it gives you this really weird sense of insecurity and you're lost, just like the characters are in the beginning. And for those of you who've never read the manga, you're going into it just as blind as these characters are. This guy's swinging a sword around in the dark and you're just as lost as he is, and the music fits that, and I thought that was awesome. The second thing that I really liked was the way that they handled the adult themes. So when the first girl's assaulted, she still has all her clothes on, and I was like, okay, there's no way that they're actually gonna do it now. They've definitely shown that they're not gonna commit to staying true to the manga there. And then all of a sudden the goblins start ripping it off and they're attacking her, and I was like, oh my god, they're actually doing it. The mad lads are actually doing it. If you're offended by it, you're not gonna like the rest of the show, because this is primarily the basis of how goblins are born in the first place. And if you watch my last video that I'll link right here, I go into great detail about how the goblins are even formed in the first place and what they mean for mankind. And the final thing that I really liked was the voice acting.
Goblin Slayer.
And I was positive I wasn't gonna like it because I wasn't a fan of the voice actor who was playing Goblin Slayer. He played Gordo in Darling in the Franxx, a show that came out a couple seasons ago, and I hated his character. He was such a cuck that I just couldn't stand his character and began to hate his voice, even if he wasn't on the screen. But as Goblin Slayer, he really killed it. His voice isn't too brash, it's not too deep or bold, it's not too soft or feminine. It's like not a pretty boy voice, it's a perfect fit for the character. So when he says his lines like, "Soka, is that so?" or whatever, you hear it and you're like, that's Goblin Slayer.
Soka.
Now, I've been hearing rumors that there is going to be an American release of the show. The thing that absolutely worries me the most is the voice acting, because I feel like they're going to try to like cop out and get like a Steve Bloom type guy to do the voicing for it, and I would hate that. Do not flood the comments telling me that Steve Bloom is a great voice actor for this role. Alright, so let's segue away from that and talk about my favorite scene. During that first assault, when the goblin digs his nails into the back of that girl, and then it zooms in on his face and he's got this really heinous and sinister smile on, that particular scene is what let me know that the show is going to be total gold. So if you're just as much of a fan of the series as I am, or you're just getting into it now, I want to know your favorite scene. What scene of Goblin Slayer let you know that this show was going to be pure gold? Or pure trash if you didn't like it. But you and I both know that you'd just be lying if that were the case. So until next week, boys, do your jobby, slay some gobbies.